G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this is a video in which we're going to talk about having a successful YouTube channel. Now I'm very grateful because this week I will be hitting 100,000 subscribers, and that is something that I'm extremely excited about and I wanted to talk to you about because I also wanted to say that it didn't happen by accident. Now of course I can't plan a successful YouTube channel in the sense that I can't 100% know that it will be a success, but in establishing a channel I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to be very specific about it. I wanted to have a very structured approach and I wanted to plan for growth. So I want to talk to you about, if you have a YouTube channel or you think about starting a YouTube channel, some of the things that I personally kept in mind and that I see in other YouTube channels that are successful, that are really useful tools to use in your journey along creating successful YouTube growth and a subscriber base. Now we're going to take this from the very beginning. We're going to talk about getting started. Some of you might already have YouTube channels that have started up, and some of you might want to be starting one up from the ground up, but this is also something to keep in mind if you want to refresh and kind of renew your approach. The first thing that I tend to like to keep in mind, and that I had in mind when I started, is that you are tiny. You've got to be really realistic out there. There are so many YouTube channels, and not only so many YouTube channels, but so many YouTube channels doing exactly what you want to do and what you want to be successful at. Biggest example of this would be video games. So let's play video games or things like that, reviews and all that stuff, is one of the most flooded areas of YouTube. Everyone thinks that they are a video game reviewer. So we've got to go through a few things. First of all, you've got to know your audience. You want to have a specific idea as to who you're trying to reach, and then base your plans in the future about how to reach that audience. How are you going to capture the people that want to watch your videos? So if I say, oh look, I want to be a video game let's player, that's a bit too general, because how many kinds of video games are there? Am I playing RPG video games or first-person shooters? So you get the idea. There are a lot of ways to do the same thing, and you want to understand who is going to watch your video, which brings me to my next point, which is finding your niche. That basically means finding within the market of the area that you're attacking a way to be different, a way for people to be drawn to you instead of those other areas. So for example, when I started my Draw with Jazza YouTube channel, I knew that in the past, when I looked for video tutorials, there really isn't much out there, and where there is, it's a bit kind of sparse and all over the place. There wasn't, at least for me, one place to find tips on animating or drawing or, you know, sound or whatever, all these things in one place that were relevant to me. So I thought that's something that I can offer people who were in the situation that I was in. So I knew that that's first off a bit of a niche that I had, is I wanted to have a bit of an all-in-one, something that was a bit of a jack of all trades, master of bits of everything sort of channel. The second thing is there were no video tutorials in which there was contact with the tutorial maker. So there were many tutorials where there was a voice over, where someone was saying do this and do that, but there was no interaction as if it were one-on-one, basically meaning a webcam like I'm talking to you right now. Now the reason why this was important to me was because, first of all, I kind of talk with my hands, so I feel like I'm communicating directly when I do this. And I don't know where that comes from. I actually have a brother who's partially deaf, and I actually think it comes from that, because I'm used to maintaining eye contact and being very clear and communicative when I talk to my brother growing up, and so I think that's actually affected the way I communicate in general. And so I've felt that in teaching, in doing tutorials and things like that, I've felt it's very important to communicate. If I'm giving a video tutorial on facial muscles, it's really cool for me to have the option to reach into the camera and say, when I stretch my mouth out like this, it affects these areas of my face, that kind of thing. So they were two areas that I knew I had a bit of a niche in the very broad market of video tutorials. There were thousands and thousands of video tutorials, but I knew that there wouldn't be many that were a bit of a hub for people, and that there wouldn't be many that actually had a bit of a clear webcam communication. The other thing to keep in mind when getting started is to allow for time. Now, when I say allow for time, I mean you're not going to just shoot up and be successful straight away. It takes a long time, and it's exponential, meaning it's going to start off slower and it's going to take time to grow. But as it grows, if you're maintaining stability and doing things that I'm going to talk about later in the video, it's going to grow steadily more and more and more. Here is a graph that I've been building over the last 2 years. So it's taken 2 years for my channel to get to 100,000 subscribers from 0. Now you can see that in the first 6 months to a year, I was under 10,000 subscribers. In fact, I was, for most of that time, under 4,000 subscribers. Now, the reason I was lucky enough to start off with a few thousand subscribers is because I had built a bit of an audience elsewhere. So I had a little bit of a following on newgrounds.com, a little bit of a following on Facebook, and a little bit of a following on my other YouTube channels. And so I tried to channel the people from there that I thought might be interested in my stuff and bring them over. Now, when allowing for time, this takes place in two aspects of growth. The first is stable long-term growth, right? So there are many YouTube channels that are quite viral, have viral content. So they might put out a video once every few months and just get heaps of views because they've got a market and they've got that really cool sort of, oh, here's a video from that person. I haven't seen them in ages. I love their stuff. But I knew my channel was a bit different than that. I knew it was going to be a steady, stable sort of setup. So I wanted to allow for that stability, and I knew growth wouldn't be viral. I knew growth would be stable. So I wanted to be a stable channel. That being said, there have been moments of quotes virality, meaning videos that have gotten a lot more exposure than that was previously expected, which has allowed for that growth. And that can be planned and that can also be unplanned. So for example, here are 4 points where in my YouTube analytics, I see very large spikes in subscribers. So I might have gotten 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers in a single day. Now, only one of these was unplanned. The first one, which is point 1, is at a time when I did the Draw My Life video, which actually got 100,000 video views, about that, in the first week or so. Now, that was a huge amount of video views when I put it up, and it's still my second most viewed video on this channel. Now, I did not plan for that to be a viral sort of video, and it's not like viral in the sense of millions, but for my content that was averaging a few hundred to maybe 1,000 or 2,000 video views per video, to get 100,000 was quite viral. But you can't plan for that. So what you can do is, in a way, through collaborating with other more successful channels and other people who have an audience base that you might want to grasp, you can, in a way, plan for a bit of that viral changeover. Now, when I say viral, it's not viral, but the video views are much larger in another area of YouTube rather than your own when you're growing. Now, keep in mind when you want to collaborate with other YouTube authors who have a higher subscriber count than yourself, they're going to be less inclined to collaborate with you. So you really want to make sure you offer something. So for example, when I've done some video exchanges or collaborations with a channel like Dota Cinema, for example, I knew that I loved the game and I could do art. And so I offered to do some cool art for them and give them a video to upload and let them take the ad revenue for that video. In exchange, link to my channel and I get subscribers, right? And that has worked every time I've done that. So that's an example as to how you can plan for a burst of growth as long as you have something to offer them, because you won't necessarily be able to offer them subscribers, but you might be able to offer them something of value that they can put out there and then you get something of value in return. At the end of the day, every channel that you love that is successful on YouTube has a structure, and it has to have a structure. Well, I mean, there are exceptions to the rule. It has to have a structure in general, because otherwise they can't maintain stability and they can't plan for the future. So when you're building a YouTube channel and you want it to be successful, you've really got to treat it like a business. Now, there are a few things that I use to keep in mind when going about this. The first is to establish a brand. There are so many YouTube channels out there that you might go to that don't have a brand. And when I say brand, I mean a very clear identity. I mean a logo, perhaps a mascot. I mean having a very clear sort of repetitious thing that they use that sticks in their head, and that when they do something else that pops in their head. So for example, I now begin every YouTube video with "G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza," with only a few exceptions. Now those of you who watch only a few videos obviously know that I do that, and some of you might get a little bit annoyed by it, but people who actually are new to the channel and come to watch their first video, it's a nothing. They don't even know that I say that every week, but let's say they watch their second video and then I say, "G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza, I'm Jazza, this is the video." That's a repetitious thing that over time they learn. And so when they think video tutorials, hopefully they're going to think Draw with Jazza or something like that. It's almost the equivalent of having a jingle to a phone number on a television ad. So you kind of got to be smart about it and think about it and present yourself in a very clear and clean and professional manner, but at the same time make sure that you have a place that where they go, it's stable and they can expect something that's the same. That's why they went there in the first place. The second thing I want to talk about when maintaining a YouTube channel as a business is being consistent. So if I go to a YouTube channel and I see that they put up 3 videos yesterday and then they haven't put up a video for a month between that and their video before that, I'm going to think, don't want to really go near that. You know what I mean? Because I might be going through my user feed on YouTube and then all of a sudden I get a burst of these videos and then nothing from them for ages. And I just think, why am I subscribed to them? I don't actually know when I'm going to see their stuff. I won't be prepared. I can't plan in my head that, oh, Tuesday I'll be doing this and that and I can watch that video. So when I say maintain consistency, I mean be very clear and consistent when you upload videos, at least on the days. So if you do a weekly video, try and do it every Friday. If you do several videos a week, try and do them roughly around the same time every day, that kind of thing. Even if it's a once a month or more of a let's say you make animated cartoons, they take time to produce, but you want to try and aim to do 1 a month, you know? So try and allow your viewers to expect something in terms of when they can be delivered their content. And in return, you get their loyalty because they will be coming back. They will be there waiting for you to deliver, and then you get the video views and so on. The next thing I want to talk about is investing proportionally. Now that kind of seems like a bit of a complicated thing to say, but I'm going to break that down. So investment means time and money, and you're going to be investing your own time and perhaps, if it grows, your own money into the YouTube channel to allow it to grow even more. So I'm just going to use my own channel as the example here because that's what I'm most experienced in. Now, when I started the YouTube channel in early 2012, I was actually working full-time on something else. And so I knew that I couldn't invest much time into it, let alone money, because I really wasn't making anything at all. And so the only time I could afford was on a Saturday. And on the Saturday, I would spend a few hours and do 1 video a week. And I could provide that level of stability and offer the tutorials at that level at that time. Now, as the channel started to pick up a little bit of traction and my day job was being less successful, I started to invest a bit more time and build that stability. So 3 to 4 videos a week, I started to interact more with the audience by offering artist showcases, showcasing their work and building up a bit more of a stable channel brand. I also invested in some lighting. So as you can see, the difference between the first thumbnail there with my face and the second is quite drastic. The first one had no lighting aside from the ambient room lighting and my digital tablet. Now my tablet was this big screen that I would draw on under me, and so I had this light source coming from underneath that was lighting my face from below. Now that is just the worst way of lighting, and I didn't really understand how unattractive that can be for a viewer watching a tutorial and seeing a really badly lit presenter communicating to them. So I decided to invest in light. I've got a light there and it had a bit of a glare when I brought that in, as you can see, so it's quite bright on one side and dark on the other. I also started to structure the pace of the video quite a bit differently. So when I started the channel, I didn't have the sign on of "G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza," that kind of thing. And I also didn't have a specific time in mind for video tutorials. So at this point where I was starting to add stability and get views, I thought, look, I want to provide something fairly consistent. I started doing the sign on and sign off regularly, and I also started trying to aim for video tutorials to be between 10 to 15 minutes. That meant I needed to use the time more efficiently so that when I was talking to the camera, I would talk at a certain pace, try and be quite clear, and that in editing, I would remove any unneeded gaps. Then we're up to where I am now, which is quite a bit different to where I started. So now I can invest more time. So I'm doing 5 videos a week and trying to maintain a good level of quality. I've increased the video quality of the webcam thing again by investing in a little bit more lighting. So I have a light up here in front of me and then a light behind me over there. So now I have some front-on lighting and then some back lighting to even out the darker areas, and so it's not so glary. I've started sorting out things like deals for prizes in the competitions and giving back to the YouTube community as I grow. And I've started to plan larger scale projects. So for example, over the December holidays, I invested about $500 to hire a studio space and a male and a female model to take a whole bunch of these photos, which in the future, and I can't say when because, you know, I need the time to invest in to do that, I will create a very extensive guide to male and female anatomy and turn them into books and videos that then offer a really clear guide for you guys that you won't really get on other YouTube channels in the same way. So the more you grow as a YouTube channel, the more you're going to want to invest of your own time and a bit of money to make your channel even better and to allow people to get more out of you. The other thing to keep in mind too between these stages is I had a bit of an intro and outro animated clip that around 2013 I replaced and redid as the animation. So when the video starts off and it comes up with Draw with Jazza and he kits it and the drum kit goes off. And I too know now that I'm at the stage where I have a bigger audience and that thing's been going on for over a year. I want to make a new intro. So I also have plans in my head for in the next few months to find time to make an animated tutorial series on doing more animation on a new intro, make it more ambitious and more interesting so that from now and in future, the intro and outro will be more interesting as well. So you want to switch it up, you want to increase the polish of your brand, and the list goes on. Another thing to keep in mind when being a business with your YouTube channel is to learn to examine your analytics. Now, every YouTube channel that has uploaded content can go to their analytics page on YouTube and examine something that looks a little bit like this. We can see all these different graphs that might not seem to mean very much. We can see our views, we can see our estimated minutes watched, comments, dislikes, likes, shares, all that sort of thing. Now, this is very, very important to learn how to read and use this information. So you want to know what videos are popular and why they're popular, and then produce similar content in a different way, offer new things and see how that goes. Then also when you take risks, see how they pay off or if they don't pay off so you can never do them again. The final thing I wanted to mention in treating your YouTube channel like a business is to plan your growth. So aside from the fact that you might perhaps have a viral hit one time or another, you can't actually plan for that. So you do need to plan projects and collaborations that will give your YouTube channel growth. So for example, you might make an ambitious video series or animation or something on your YouTube channel that you think will draw a lot of users in, maybe even spend a little bit of money on advertising to reach other channels and bring people in and increase your subscriber growth. And then the other thing that you can do is collaborate with other YouTube channels that are at the same level or slightly higher or lower than your own subscriber rate. Now, the reason that's important is if I've got 100,000 subscribers and someone comes to me who has less than 1,000 subscribers, there's not much of an appeal for me to do a collaboration with them unless I get something of equal sort of value in return. So if I wanted, for example, a website makeover and they do tutorials on coding or something like that, and we make some sort of a deal, then that's something that you could do. But in general, if you want to increase your subscriber base, you're going to want to collaborate with people at around the same level of yourself or higher if you have access to channels who are willing to do that. Now, here are some things just in general to keep in mind if you're planning to have a long-term sustainable YouTube channel. There are moments of ebb and flow. That means there are going to be times where things are pretty flat and might even be going downhill, and there will be times as well, whether you plan them or not, that they increase and go up. So I recommend keeping some backup projects or plans that you can kick into gear when things start to ebb or even start going downhill. So it might be a collaboration with another channel, it might be having a video series set aside for when you bring something, and it might be introducing a new segment or something like that. The other thing to remember is don't be a subscriber whore. Now, you're going to hear a lot of talk about subscribers, and I'm guilty of that too. I'm making this video as a thank you and a bit of a guide because I've reached 100,000 subscribers. So there are landmarks, and of course it's worth being proud of reaching certain goals. But that being said, it's very, very important not to make that the be all and end all of your channel. I would still be doing this channel with as much time and effort and money as I could invest in it realistically, even if I wasn't at 100,000 subscribers, even if I was at 10,000 or below. So you got to know that subscribers is not the be all and end all of it. You just want to build for sustainability and your audience and always cater to them. The other thing to keep in mind is to diversify your revenue. That basically means if you're monetizing your YouTube videos, you want to try other ways of monetizing as well, because YouTube AdSense revenue can be good, but most of the time it's actually pretty low. So even at 100,000 subscribers, I'm not doing great. I can't live off of the money that I earn from my revenue from YouTube, but I diversify my revenue. So I have clients that I do animations for. I might in future do things like merchandise. I know a lot of other YouTube channels do that, or they have their own websites with ads running on their website. So you want to diversify, you want to do lots of different things to make sure you have money coming in from different sources so that you can sustain yourself financially and provide more on your YouTube channel. Now, finally, I want to finish on the big scary things, on the bewares, because there are a few of these things that I wish I knew when I started my YouTube channel, or that I knew that I've seen other people make mistakes with. And the first one is YouTube networks. You're going to see a lot of this, especially if you start gaining some traction and some subscribers and views. You're going to be approached by people who say, guess what? You're now eligible to join a YouTube network. And boy, oh boy, they're going to tell you some really cool things. They're going to promise you more money. They're going to promise you more views, and they're going to promise you one-on-one contact and collaboration to make your channel huge. But I'm just going to be totally blunt and honest. I've done this once and it was awful. It was a terrible experience. I did it for 1 month, and the only reason I was willing to do it was because A, they were promising all these wonderful things, and B, they promised me that it was a 30-day period in which I could cancel anytime. So I thought, great, let's give it a go. It's worth at least trying because I can cancel anytime. I tried it, and within 2 weeks I thought, holy crap, my revenue is less than half. This is terrible. And I said, I want to quit. And so they said, okay, at the end of the 30-day period, you can quit. Great. So I have to wait 30-day period. And so I'm on that waiting list, getting half the revenue for over a month, at which point I was then on a 30-day wait to be released. So it was 2 months that I was stuck in a you can quit anytime contract that I was just stuck in. I was getting half my revenue, and I was in a bit of a financial problem in my own personal life anyway, so it just didn't help. So I personally just say stay away from them. They take a portion of your revenue. They might, if you have pretty much no revenue, be worth trying because they can give you views if you have good content and you can build a base quite quickly. So there are ways that people use them and make good use of them. But I'm going to be honest, my experience with them was horrible. All I hear about other people's experience is mostly terrible. So I would just warn you to be very, very cautious. The second thing I want to talk about is copyright. Now, you want to only put up stuff that you own or you have the right to use, and YouTube is cracking down on this these days pretty hard. So they have ways of scanning even video content, audio content, all this stuff, and they can recognize very quickly if you have anything in your video that isn't owned by you or that someone else is claiming is owned by them. And other people can also just make claims against you. So someone can say they stole my song, whether it's your song or not. So you've got to kind of combat these claims, and you just got to be really careful. So as long as you get everything in writing, if you get permission to use things. The other thing is competition. Beware of competition. Now, I don't mean beware of it in a negative sense. There's always going to be competition, and it's a good thing, but don't be complacent. Don't sit still, because you're going to be working hard to overcome your competition, but so is your competition when it sees that, you know, you're viable. So you want to make sure that you're providing something new in a space that gives them room to grow and lets you grow as well. Another thing to be aware of is a lack of connection. YouTube is a relationship between you and your subscribers. These are people who click and want regular content, and it also means that they want interaction with you. So they're going to write to you, they're going to write to you on Facebook or PM you on YouTube. And while if you grow to be fairly large, it can be difficult to keep up with it, I still personally think it's quite important to reply to those emails as often as possible if they're legitimate sort of emails, or to reply to questions in your comment section. Show them that you're an interactive person and that there is a reason that they're there. It's because they want to get your content, and they can also hear from you in person. And the very last thing I want to warn you of is complacency. Don't sit still, don't get comfortable and soak in the rays of the sun while other people are still going to be working hard to grow, whether they're below you or not. Quite similar in a way to the story of the tortoise and the hare. You want to be the tortoise, you don't want to be the hare. You don't want to burst ahead, you don't want to get a viral hit and say, oh, I got $1,000 from this movie that got 100, 200,000 video views, and now I can sit still and relax. No, you want to use it as a business advantage and push forward and make the most of it. You don't want to sit still, because at the end of the day, it's the consistency of the tortoise that wins over their hair. That, ladies and gentlemen, is everything I have to offer you in terms of my own experience and knowledge in creating a successful YouTube channel. Now, success can be defined in many ways, and in this instance, I'm talking about success as in having a stable business to build up from and to plan for the future and have good content. So it doesn't necessarily mean subscribers or money, but it means creating a place that is ready to cultivate that if it's something that will work. I want to also finish off by thanking you all so much that in the next few days I'm going to be reaching 100,000 subscribers. That is such an amazing thing. I'm going to do a couple of things just to celebrate. I might just make a thank you video. I also intend to do a bit of a live stream that you guys can join. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for viewing, and until next time, I'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my videos. You can download the reference files from this tutorial by clicking the link in the description. And remember to share any art, animation or game you make on newgrounds.com. Until next time, see you later.